Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy. Couldn't be happier to be here alongside Joe Stanley, Jackie Felgate, Dr Nick Carr. Welcome, guys.
Hello, Darcy.
Always good to see you. Now, you all know Joe is known as the guru of gut health. In fact, that will be your epitaph, I'm sure, Joe. So you'll be very excited to hear about the big step forward in gut health that's happening right here in Australia.
I don't know how I got to be the gut guru here on this show. I am very passionate, yes, about the link between gut health and mental health. That's true. But seeing as the gut pretty much determines every aspect of our well-being, I am happy to report that Australia has begun the first country in the world to grant approval for faecal, yes, that's poo, transplants to begin.
Just saying, Nick, this is something I'm really uncomfortable discussing.
Yep.
I'm going to hand this over to you because it does seem like a big deal.
It means healthy genetic material can be collected from the poo of suitable donors and put into the gastrointestinal tract of an unhealthy person. And it's to treat a range of conditions. So it's really no more gross than any other transplant. Really?
OK.
So the exciting thing is that while faecal transplants have actually been possible in this country for a long time, we're the first country to grant approval to a company that meets the necessary standards.
And the other amazing thing is while transplants are currently delivered through the colon, oral delivery is expected to be available before too long, which is amazing. Sorry.
Just to reassure you, it will be in a capsule form, not liquid.
Good luck with that one. You know, we all love a bit of time off work at the end of the year, and we sure are looking forward to it. I know I am, but the amount of leave new parents can and should be taking is a really hot topic once again, Jack.
That's exactly right, Das. Last month, the federal government announced it will increase its parental leave payment scheme from 20 to 26 weeks within the next 4 years. Both mums and dads can now share in that 6 months of paid leave however they like. This is so good.
It is so good, payments like this. And remember, when I had my baby, I had a baby bonus, which was incredible. But it's all a godsend to support new parents, don't you think?
I couldn't agree more, but we are still lagging behind other developed countries who offer around 50 weeks, can you believe it, of paid leave. Australian doctors are now saying 6 months isn't enough and should be extended to a year. It's a call that's being backed by Parenthood CEO Georgie Dent.
At the moment, families in Australia have got access to 20 weeks of paid parental leave, and it is paid at the minimum wage. For context, the average length of paid leave that's available in the OECD is 50 weeks. So 20 weeks at minimum wage is world lagging. It's not surprising that we've got the College of Physicians backing calls for 1 year of paid parental leave because the evidence has been overwhelming for literally decades now that supporting parents to care for their children in that critical first year of life is fundamental. We know that the neural development of babies is quite phenomenal. You know, what occurs in that first year of life is profound. So when you think about it, 20 weeks at the minimum wage translates to about 7.5 weeks at a replacement wage. And among OECD countries, it's far more common for a replacement wage to be offered. So when you look at it in real terms, the money that families have got access to for that critical first year of life is negligible.
That was Georgie Dent there, the CEO of Parenthood, who did go on to say that only the US has a worse parental leave scheme than Australia, Joe.
Well, the evidence is in, Das, and it shows that exclusive parental care fosters improved maternal and child health with improved developmental outcomes for the child. Isn't that right, Dr Nick?
You're spot on, Joe, as always. And what the evidence shows is that kids need a safe, secure and stable adult attachment figure. And if that's one or both of the parents, even better. And the benefits are that having dads at home more time with their kids, particularly in those first 12 months, is great for a child's emotional and educational achievement. And it facilitates support for the mums too, which is so important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I had my second child, I went straight back to work and my husband stayed at home for 6 months to raise her, and he says it was the best time of his life. And it's only 1 in 4 fathers who access the 2 weeks of partner pay under the scheme, even though research shows that kids and mums and dads all benefit when the father is more involved with the baby.
Well done to Michael. Great effort for him.
Indeed.
It is a tough job, as you know, Jack, when the kids are little. Now, a couple of young Melbourne friends are also doing amazing work for kids and their parents in Africa. Really uplifting story. Stick around, it's coming up next on the House of Wellness. During lockdown, Joe, most of our interviews here at the House of Wellness were done by Zoom, and I know a lot of people are over it, but I'm a huge fan. I think the opportunity now to connect with people around the globe, to actually be able to see them, technology's opened up the world and given us access to people that we wouldn't have had in the past.
Oh, absolutely. You are so right, Daz. Like the two remarkable Aussies, Francesca Gili and Nellie James, who we first met on Zoom when they were living in Nairobi in Africa. The young Melbourne friends work in the highly specialised field of making prosthetic eyes for those who can't afford them.
It's actually incredible, isn't it? Because ocular prosthetics are an absolutely extraordinary art, and replicating the complexity and beauty of the human eye is no easy task, unless it's mine, when you just need grey with a bit of red around the edges.
We are all very tired nowadays, aren't we? What an extraordinary skill it is, though. It takes about 3 days just to make one eye, and matching the pigment of a patient's eye requires incredible precision.
Yes, well, since we last caught up with Francesca and Nellie, they've travelled to even more remote parts of Kenya to help those in need, even to the Masai Mara, and are now training local staff so their work can be continued into the future. So for those who didn't hear your story last time, can you explain what an ocularist is?
Yeah, so an ocularist is someone who makes artificial eyes. So they're fully customised to fit a patient's socket, and they're completely hand-painted.
So is it a very complex process? How do you learn to do something like this?
Yeah, ocularistry, it's a very niche field, and there's no exact curriculum for it in most parts of the world. You generally need to find someone to take you under their wing and train you, I guess kind of like an apprenticeship. So we ended up training with a world-renowned ocularist in Nottingham who had around 40 years experience in the field.
Do you work side by side? Do you have complementary skills?
Can you tell? We've worked side by side for a long time. And yes, we do. We definitely balance each other out very well, I think. So Francesca's painting is amazing. And I'll say that my plastering skills are much better.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with the plastering sometimes.
So would you say that you're artists, scientists, a bit of both?
It's a really nice intersection of healthcare and artistry. And a little bit of not counselling, but you do sit and listen to your patients for so long. Often they've gone through a very traumatic experience to get to the point where they come to see us. I think our job is also quite a lot of rehabilitation as well. We're sort of the last step on that journey to becoming whole again.
So how long does it take from start to saying goodbye to a patient, having holistically treated them with their eye? How long is that process?
So we can make an eye in about 6 hours. I think our record at the moment is making an eye in 4 hours, but we usually try and have it ready for the next day, just as quick as possible, especially if people are travelling a long distance to come and see us.
So what are some of the reasons that people will need an eye that you make?
The main reasons are often like trauma to the eye, or infections, or as Nellie mentioned earlier, retinoblastoma, which is a very aggressive form of eye cancer, which is normally detected in the very early years of childhood. Unfortunately, due to delays in diagnosis, the only option to save the eye, because the cancer is spread, is to remove one or both of the eyes.
And so how do people access your services?
So we have a clinic in Nairobi, and we work alongside ophthalmologists and all eye specialists. We do hope to be able to be a bit more mobile in future, so that we can visit more remote areas. But one of the biggest, challenges is affordability for the patient. So it's always been a bit of a challenge and a juggling act of keeping our prices as low as possible whilst keeping us sustainable to increase, accessibility to prostheses.
What is the kind of reaction that you see when someone has received an eye?
Oh, it's always very emotional. Well, there's usually always a few tears or definitely big smiles.
Yeah.
It's quite a special thing to see.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I tell you, I am in awe of these two. The girls describe their work as somewhere between art, science and medical, but to me, it really is art. It's amazing.
Yeah, their goal is to make artificial eyes accessible to all, Joe, and you can get behind them by heading to eyesforall.com.au. Now, Joe, something that you and I tried together a while ago now, I'm not sure you like me bringing this up too often, but I'm going to again, and that was the ice bath. Wasn't your favourite day from my memory?
No, I didn't enjoy it. That's a fair summation of it. It was just I felt so vulnerable. It took me instantly into a really vulnerable place and I was like, this is not for me. But I know you've done it previously as well.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of pain. If you haven't experienced it before and then you get into that cold, it's genuine pain. And,
yes.
But I sort of love the metaphor. I was lucky enough to spend some time with Wim Hof, who's sort of maybe the godfather of the ice bath therapy. And he talks about if you're present and you generally sit there, it's the cold's just to remind you to be present.
Sure. I love being present.
But maybe you didn't get past
In
the pain.
sunshine.
Maybe have a nice warm spa and do the same
Yes,
thing.
perhaps. So how did you feel afterwards, though?
See, I find it a great mood change. If you want some energy and you can start your day or you want to get in and have that experience, Joe, there's not many things you can do quite like it. So I must admit, I'm not doing that often anymore, but I'm a bit of a fan.
Well, for me, the coolest thing about an ice bath was being able to say, no thanks. That felt amazing to go, I'm in control here.
And I was that impressed that you just went, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I'm out now.
Well, Heinz is on a quest to uncover what's hot and what's definitely not in the world of holistic health, meaning this week it's his turn to take the icy plunge.
When I think ice bath, I go straight to Wim Hof, the Dutch extreme athlete, better known as the Iceman. Using cold as his teacher, he learned to control his breathing, heart rate and circulation to withstand freezing temperatures, all in the name of healing. Cold water therapy has its benefits. It can reduce inflammation, boost your mood and even help you sleep better. But for me, having a cold shower is a long way from sitting in a bath full of ice, Wim Hof style.
Fully in and let it go. Fully in and let it go. No force.
All right, so there's a cold shower and there's an ice bath. What temperature are we talking?
Cold shower in Melbourne, it's probably around 10 or 12 degrees in the middle of winter. The ice bath, we try to get under 3 degrees. So from 3 degrees to negative, under zero.
Fully in and let it go. And you can see that wave now crashing to shore.
So breath is a huge component of cold water therapy. How do they go hand in hand?
Well, they're beautiful hand in hand because what happens when we do the breathing, we alkaline our body. We get into this state, this meditative state, where we actually get out of the head and it brings us into the heart. And that's what we need to be in the body. We need to feel and be in the body.
Does being in that level of cold hurt in any way?
Look, it's really intense at the start, really intense, but then your body adjusts. And I think what we need to do is come within and be present. Don't think about anything else that's going on. And what I love about an ice bath, Luke, it's a yardstick for life. Life is an ice bath. When we learn that in this situation that we can control our body and our mind with our breathing, it puts it at another level. And then you can start using that as a comparison. Okay, good, Luke. Okay, in through the nose. You've got this. You've got this. In through the nose and out through the nose. Lukey, you've got this. That's all right. In through the nose and out through the nose. Okay.
I feel really emotional.
That's right. And that's what it does. It draws it out. That's all right. This is what it's about, mate.
How long? 3 minutes? Is that the optimum?
No, well, look, originally the science was, 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes. But what we've done, we like to just have a crossover because what we like to do is people go through a bit of, a hard patch at the start because we're activating that stress response. And usually what's happening, after 1.5 minutes, our body seems to normalise. So we want to get 3 minutes. But I saw some papers the other day, they were looking at, around 11 minutes is the optimum. But that's intense. You can't do that straight off. It's about building slowly. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Focus on the heat. Deeply in and let go.
Tell me about some of the mental benefits.
Well, I think that there's always contentment. It's like, you go out and surf. Luke, you surfed before, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what it's like when you get on a great wave there's this contentment after you paddle back out, and there's clarity. Put your head under, activates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is linked to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a part of the autonomic nervous system. So this is what it's doing, and there's science around this, which I love now, mate, how powerful this is.
2, 3, in. All right, Luke. All right. Hey! Yes, mate. Feel the power, son. Oh! Yes! Yes! Yeah, I told you, yes! Yay! Good stuff, mate. Just watch your step, mate.
Mark, I have never, ever felt like this. I thought I had been in an ice bath before. 5, 6, 7 degrees, cold shower therapy. This, under 3 degrees, is life-changing. You think that you can't do it. You get in, and it is terrifying initially, that cold. And for me, the response was an entire body emotional release. And then it's like a clearing, and it passes through your body. And I thought I wouldn't even make it to 3 minutes. I think we were close to 8, maybe over 8, and it didn't feel like that. Right now, no amount of caffeine, no amount of therapy would ever get you feeling like this. I feel incredible, and I am going to incorporate this into my life for the rest of my life.
Yes. Oh, yeah, man. Hey.
As we head into December, Jack, it means Christmas not far around the corner for me, and I love the summer of cricket. We know the men's test matches have just kicked off, which I am loving, Jack, and I know you're a big fan of the cricket as well.
Oh, absolutely. Taking the kids, enjoying the atmosphere. It's such a wonderful time. And I also love, if we don't go to the ground, vegging out in front of the cricket on the tally after Christmas madness. This Boxing Day will be taking on South Africa.
Can't wait for that. The summer is also when the men's and women's Big Bash leagues light up our screens and grounds around the nation. The Perth Scorchers are the defending champions in the women's WWBL. They have set the tone for women's cricket for sure.
Oh, absolutely does. And especially when Scorchers superstar Beth Mooney steps up to bat. She was the first WBBL player to score 3,000 runs, a remarkable achievement, and is one of the world's top-ranked batters.
Absolutely, Jack. She's also a formidable wicketkeeper and was named this year's Australian T20 Player of the Year. We caught up with the cricketing powerhouse who's turning up the heat this summer.
Shot. What a beautiful shot.
I think the thing that grabbed me about cricket the most was that it was such a hard sport to be good at, and it was such a challenge to do well and do well consistently. Even from a young age, I always found I wanted to challenge myself and be out doing something that was quite tough. But I think the thing that kept me in the game was the fact that when I was really young and found out that other girls played, and if I made these representative teams for, you know, the Wide Bay region and Queensland and things like that, then I got to just go away for a couple of weeks with my mates and miss school for a bit. So those were the things that kept me in the game.
There it is. A misfield off Jamari's bowling brings up an outstanding 100 for Beth Mooney.
If I was good enough to make, you know, the under-15 Queensland team and the under-19 Queensland team and sort of work my way up to the Queensland Fire and then some Australia A stuff, I could see a genuine path to make it to the top, whereas for the other sports that I played growing up, I couldn't really see that. I played a little bit of AFL, which obviously is kicking off now, which is really exciting, and a bit of soccer as well. So I couldn't see the evolution for me in those sports, but I could sort of see what I wanted to do and where I wanted to get to playing cricket.
Off the hip, there's a chance. No, it's not. It's gone all the way.
I was one of 3 girls that played in Hervey Bay, and the other 2 don't play anymore. So I'm the last woman standing from that region. I think there's a couple of girls coming through now who are quite young and pretty talented as well. So it's nice to see that they're creating some all-girls competitions up there, and that certainly wasn't something I had. I had to play with the boys and the men. Keeping girls in the game, in any game, is really tough, and that's been the biggest challenge across probably the last 10 or 15 years. It's still happening today. You see them get to that age bracket of sort of 14 to 18 and they finish school and they go to uni and they don't have time to commit to a couple of nights of training a week. But I think the most important thing for me about sport has been the life skills that you learn. It's not just how to hit a ball or catch it, it's about the people you meet and how to interact with them and building friendships and building relationships with people within the game. So it's a real shame that girls drop out, because the self-esteem you can get from playing sport and being with your mates is huge.
It can't keep happening, surely. And guess who? Beth Mooney.
I love the fact that cricket's a game that you can never be perfect at, but you still show up and want to be better at every day. So you can train all week and get a duck, or you can train all week and hit the ball like absolute crap out in the middle and score 100. You know, there's no textbook for how a game's going to go, and you know, I've played a fair few in my career at this point, but I think just the challenge of never knowing what the game's going to throw at you and how you're going to go, and always trying to get better. I probably cycle a bit more for fitness these days, just to add into my training when I can't be bothered going for a run. I'm not a runner. If I'm getting up to early in the morning to go for a run by myself, I generally just stay in bed and don't go. But if I'm like, nah, the wind is quite minimal and sunny day, and you know, I'll wake up, I'm like, right, I'll get on the bike and get myself out, and that will be my fitness. I just enjoy it. I'm out there for 40 or 50 Ks and no one can contact me, and I can just have my music on and be nice and quiet. I think we're at a space in Australian cricket at the moment, especially at the top level, where there's a lot of autonomy when it comes to our diet and lifestyle and things like that. It's taken a long time to get there, because you know, we weren't professional for a long time, and now we have been for a few years, so people know what's required at different points. So you know, for me, it's probably more about making sure I'm doing everything right physically, and then enjoying things that I want to enjoy in moderation. So if I want to go out and have a drink with some mates, I will. It's not going to be, you know, till all hours of the morning. It'll be a couple, and then I'll come home to feed Ruby. That's usually my excuse, which is a pretty good one, I find.
Where are we going?
Mentally, I sort of do all my training in the week, and then once I get to game day, I just accept that fate's been written and whatever happens, happens, and I just get to go out there and see what that is. So for me, it's just about remaining as calm as possible and not getting too worked up about a game.
Is that good?
You can put the same pair of undies on, or you can eat the same breakfast, and you'll get a different outcome every time. So there's only so much you can control, and because cricket's a really weird team game where it's, you know, your skill set is so individual and your preparation is so individual, there's only so much you can do. So as long as you're doing your job and everyone else is worried about theirs and doing theirs, then the outcome takes care of itself. And if you can make peace with that as soon as possible, then you're probably going to get the outcome you want.
Lovely shot from Mooney.
We're already really well versed on a connection between our gut and brain, but there's another line of communication happening within us between our gut and skin. Think of it like a garden. If the soil isn't thriving with nutrients and bacteria, then the flowers will struggle to bloom. Inspired by the gut-skin connection, the double benefit approach of the JS Health Skin and Digestion formula helps maintain skin health and supports gastrointestinal system health. At JS Health, we've listened to our community experiencing specific health concerns like these, and our goal is to help nourish their health and confidence from the inside out. Each JS Health Vitamins formula contains carefully selected ingredients at specific doses to reflect their health indications. Skin and Digestion contains turmeric, the golden spice that acts as an antioxidant, as well as zinc for relieving symptoms of acne, pimples, and minor skin eruptions. Wrapping up the skin support package is burdock, a herb that helps relieve symptoms of mild eczema and dermatitis based on traditional Western herbal medicine. Skin and Digestion is just one signature formula, clearly labelled in the name, helpful in a sometimes confusing world of supplements. Lifestyle is also a factor when it comes to supporting our digestive system and also our skin. A regular skincare routine using quality botanical actives can help support a radiant, clear, and healthy complexion from the outside. Choosing a whole food diet, managing stress, and taking supplements under the guidance of a health professional may help support healthy digestive system function from within. It's this really holistic approach to health that forms the JS Health philosophy. Through our books, app, online program, recipes, topical hair care and skincare range, and of course our supplements. We hope to really educate and empower people to live a happy, healthy life with balance.
Well, Dr. Nick, we spoke last week about the benefits of smiling. Even a fake one is good for our health. And actually, you know, I adopted a fake it till you feel it philosophy when I was doing breakfast radio. I insisted in the first 2 minutes of a mic being turned on at 6 a.m, doesn't matter how I felt, smile and laugh, and it set the tone for the whole day. And it really did work. It made me feel amazing.
You know what, Jo? What I've seen, you're a very smiley person anyway. I don't reckon that you have to fake it, but it does happen to be true that the simple act of smiling, even if you don't feel like it, can boost positive emotions. And if you're on the receiving end of a smile, it usually makes you feel immediately more comfortable with that person. And it generally makes you want to smile too, so it's a win-win.
Now, that said, some people are self-conscious about their mouths or teeth, so they don't smile at all, which makes me so sad. And it makes you wonder about the change it would make to their lives if they could break out a big, confident smile.
Well, yes, because we all want a decent set of pearly whites, and not only because they look good, but also your oral health can have a major effect on general health. For example, the gum disease, gingivitis, may be associated with a host of problems, such as an increased risk of heart and lung disease and even of dementia.
Well, Luke Hines knows this firsthand. Concerns about his teeth have given him a lifelong reluctance to smile naturally. Over the years, he's found ways to compensate for what he considered an unattractive smile. But on further investigation, there was a lot more going on than what he bargained for.
Dr.
Hey,
D.
how are you?
Hey, so good to see you.
So nice to see you.
I'm so excited.
Oh, let's get started.
Oh, the day has finally come.
I know.
What some people don't know about me is that I've always been super conscious of my teeth. I stick my tongue out in photos to cover my smile, and I always stifle a laugh so my teeth aren't visible. So when I finally decided to do something about it, I began a reconstructive process that's taken 4 long years.
The main problem was he is struggling with a really deep bite. What it means is his lower jaw is closing, over-closing, which is a self-destructive bite which starts hitting against each other and traumatizing the bone and gum.
The long-term implications were devastating to hear. Here I was, hoping that some glossy veneers over my crooked teeth would be the answer. But according to Dr. Deepan Jurasamy, there was no quick fix. I was in it for the long haul.
He needed to get some extraction by a maxillofacial surgeon. He's needed to get his wisdom teeth taken out, and he had a leftover baby tooth and an adult tooth that was stuck underneath. So I'm going to get you to rinse out, and then I'll go through with a floss and a bit of a drill to clean up.
Throw in some serious teeth grinding, and getting that perfect smile was going to take patience, some pain, and faith in the man who was going to help me get it.
Cosmetic dentistry is such a superficial word, but it involves restoring aesthetics, but also restoring function and reconstruction of lost teeth structure. This one's going to be a little bit sensitive.
Okay.
But my issues are minimal compared to what many people suffer with their teeth.
We've seen a condition where completely there was no enamel developed on someone. Enamel's a white part of your teeth where people have full-on yellow teeth so they're chalky, brittle, usually teased for not looking after the teeth. This is a condition where always misread as neglect, but it is a developmental condition. Occasionally, we come across a lot of birth defects like cleft lip palate, enamel hyperplasia, conditions where the teeth haven't developed fully, and we have major issues in terms of function, aesthetics, and self-confidence.
So impacted by the suffering of many of these patients from bullying, lack of confidence and shame, that 11 years ago, Dr. D set up the Bring Back a Smile Foundation.
Bring Back a Smile Foundation is a movement where we do pro bono work. And I shouldn't say pro bono because it gives us a lot of satisfaction. So I get something that's better than money. But it keeps our passion in it by giving my time, skills, and it's just not me. Now there are additional dentists, and we want this to be executed all through where dentists or other professionals to give time and skills to someone in need.
Dr. D started as a one-man band, donating his time and skills
to people born with genetic defects, cleft palate, facial and oral trauma, even victims of domestic violence. And all of them leave their mark.
Nancy went through 2 lots of cancer operations where one part of her bone and teeth of half a mouth of her palate was removed, which means she had one half teeth, the other half no bone, no teeth. So we sat and planned, designed a smile. So we put through all the treatments and temporaries first, and the raw emotion that was in the room is priceless. She just needed some kind of help to restore her confidence.
Nancy's life was changed, but so was Dr. D's and everyone involved in her transformation.
When Nancy saw herself with restored teeth, that was just in the temporary, but her emotions were so high and the happiness was instantaneous. Her eyes were lit, tears dropping down, and like the whole room had moist eyes. I can only feel tears when I think about the moment, because it is satisfying, not just Nancy, but I think it is rewarding for the profession and rewarding for the passion that I have. And I think a lot of people will relate to it when you do it. So, when you feel it from in, and when you stay in the moment, you feel it's quite intense. And yeah.
Dr. D was born and raised in rural South India. He watched his father, a GP, treat the locals, taking very little money, but mostly no payment at all in return for his services. It seems his generosity of spirit runs in the family.
Anyone born with birth condition that has affected their teeth, I don't feel I should be charging them. I've had the skill and I'm living a comfortable life. The least that I could do is give my time and skills to someone. It means a lot. So they're just secured in place with the little gel.
So you can see, I'm in very good and caring hands. And after 4 years, I can't even put into words the difference my new smile has made to my sense of self. I have restored teeth and restored confidence. Thank you, Dr. D.
I couldn't be happier. Oh, I'm not going to be able to stop smiling. It's going to be awkward in sad moments of my life because I'll just want to smile. I think we can all agree that no matter where you're from, how old you are, or what you do for work, Sarah, that a bad night's sleep can really ruin your day.
Forget a bad day, Heinzie. Sleep deprivation costs the Australian economy a whopping $66.3 billion a year in health and other indirect costs.
Think of the quality bed you could buy for that amount of money.
A lack of shut-eye can also cause broader health consequences, so there are multiple reasons to get a little bit of extra Z's.
Let me introduce you to the mighty mineral magnesium. In the sleep space, magnesium plays a role in sleep regulation, plus calming the muscles and nervous system. Now, if you're deficient, you might have trouble falling asleep or experience restlessness.
A lovely little purple plant called passion flower, traditionally used in Western herbal medicine, may also offer relief. It helps ease nervous tension and stress, inducing sleep.
You mean better than the dulcet tones of a Lukey Hines lullaby? Sleep well, Sarah.
Is there anything better than that, Heinzie? Still in the herbal world, the dried flowering parts of the hop plant, called hops, and yes, it is the same ingredient as beer, may also offer relief to those who are finding it difficult to fall asleep.
Now, before you go start sculling a few pints, hops combined with passion flower and magnesium can be found in supplement form.
Thanks, Heinzie. Now, going back to what you were saying earlier, can you describe to me this $66.3 billion bed?
Well, first off, it's a water bed, but sparkling water.
Sparkling? A Perrier bed?
Totally. And then when you get on it, it says, "Welcome. May we bubble you for your sleep ahead."
What a crazy bed.
It's actually quite calming.
Yeah, love it.
The A to Z of vitamins is brought to you by Go Healthy's Go Magnesium Sleep, a convenient one-a-day formulation to help induce sleep.
You know, one thing about ageing, Nick, that no one tells you about is foot issues. Now, I'm lucky that most of the time I can still wear the heels that I love, but all around me, my friends are saying, oh, they can't do it anymore. And so they're left wearing really comfortable, but maybe not quite as attractive shoes as we like to wear because our feet just aren't up to it anymore.
Well, as we get to age, Jo, we begin to lose that soft cushioning on our heels and the balls of our feet, and things like bunions, arthritis, I'm sorry to say, they can also crop up. But the good news is that these days fashion actually has caught up with us. So sensible shoes that are good for your feet are no longer necessarily ugly, Jo.
Well, they often get overlooked until, like most things, something goes wrong. But the best treat you can give your feet is getting to know them and giving them the care and support that they need.
We classify feet into 3 arch types, either a flat foot, a normal arch and a high foot. One of the easiest ways to do a bit of self-diagnosis is if you step into something wet and then walk across some concrete. And what you're looking for is there an arch in your footprint. So if you look at somebody who has a normal arch in stance, you can often see the arch is there when they're standing up. And so this part of the foot, the inside or the soft skin of their foot, is not touching the earth. The reason that we tend to have an arch is to do with the way that we walk. So when we walk on our feet, most people don't realise, but we land on the outside of our heel. And the reason we do that is because higher up the body at our hips level, we are swinging them slightly so that we can move forward. And part of the reason we want to see an arch when we are standing is because what it means is that that part of the body is recovering from that flattening that happens as we land. Flat feet, of course, historically have been considered quite the problem, to the point where during World War I and World War II, they were actively discouraging people from enrolling into their services if they had flat feet. The majority of people will do quite okay with flat feet, but a small percentage will end up with some more foot pain, certainly more knee pain and lower back pain and hip pain if they are walking to the point with severe flat feet that they're not functioning as they should. So we always say to people, if you're concerned about the flatness of your feet, have somebody look at them that knows what they're doing and they can see if there's any functional concerns that may need some attention. Now, kids with flat feet are a very different story. When we're born, we have a very immature little foot, and because of the way that we're packed in the uterus, our feet are turned in, they're facing each other, and they take a little while to unroll. What we find though is as children start to walk, they will start with very much what we call a flat footfall. So their whole foot comes in contact with the earth. But as time goes on and their muscle, bone and nerves all mature, you'll find they'll start to develop that arch and they'll start to develop the gait that is common to adults. So if we have children that are flat-footed, it's a perfectly normal finding. All the way up until when they're about 10 years of age, we expect there to be some form of flatness. A high arch foot is actually one that I worry about more than a flat foot. This isn't quite a representation of a high arch foot per se, but it is one of our skeletons that just shows you all of the muscle and ligament activity that goes on the arch side of the foot in an attempt to hold it up. Now with high arch people, unfortunately, this is all doing its job way too well. So people will land on their heel, not have that natural rolling in motion, and unfortunately that means that the shock is then carried up the leg and felt in both the ankle, the knee and the hip. Now interestingly, with the wet test that we were discussing before, you'll find a true high arched person, when they wet the sole of their foot and then step on concrete, you'll notice the arch is missing completely in most of them. If there's absolutely no arch visible on a wet test type, please do see somebody, because we do know that all that shock can eventuate in arthritis, but it can be helped if we put some cushioning under the shoe to give you some shock absorption while you're walking.
Over 15, 16 years ago, when I first set my sight on becoming a makeup artist, my whole aesthetic and what I wanted to create was the no makeup look. The Maybelline Instant Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Foundation gives the transformation of 4 products in one step. One step. It primes, smoothing the appearance of the skin's texture. It conceals, reducing the appearance of dark circles and imperfections. It highlights, giving the skin a luminous glow. And finally, it evens the skin tone for a perfected yet natural look. Pick from 5 self-adjusting shades, apply with its built-in sponge applicator, and then blend, blend, blend. I've been fortunate enough to have a little bit of play. My takeaway? Purchase 2. Have one that's a little bit fairer, use it in the centre of your face, and then apply your darker shade where the sun would naturally hit your skin. Brands like Maybelline are listening to us and giving us what we want. They're giving us products that are affordable, accessible, and high quality. So if you are makeup obsessed like me, it's a good time to be alive.
That was Jade doing what she does best, showcasing beauty. Meanwhile, a Senegal man is doing exactly the opposite by showcasing ugly trash in a bid to help the planet.
I love this. Environmental activist Moudou Fall is nicknamed the Plastic Man as he wears a uniform of plastic and other rubbish collected from Senegal's beaches. That sign on his chest reads, "No to plastic bags" in French. His mission is to raise awareness about the growing plastics problem, and as he's made headlines right around the world, I think he's doing a pretty good job. Mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Couldn't support that more. Now, Joe, let me ask this. If you had to wear a sign around your neck,
Yes.
what would you go with?
Oh, well, an issue I'm very passionate about. Pick up after your dog. I'm so tired of it. No more dog poo in the street.
I think if I had to wear something, I'd have to go something like a little bit like Lady Gaga with the meat dress. I'd have to go fast food with sort of burgers and fried food. I'd probably just have to stay away from the beach, all those seagulls.
I like it.
Fair enough. That's it for today. Thanks to Joe, to Dr. Nick and to Jackie. Fantastic as always to spend the afternoon with you.
Tune in to hear Joe and Gerald quickly on the House of Wellness radio show this Sunday.
And Jack, you are our weekend lift-out cover girl.
The shoot was a lot of fun and I talk about lots of things important to me. Christmas, work, kids, horses, but not necessarily in that order.
Well, thank you, Jack. We'll look out for that one. Thanks as always to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you again soon.